I've been thinking a lot about my recent interaction with G-Man last night in my hangout.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. This New Year's Day edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. And in this edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries, I want to get into what exactly evolution is. This video is actually going to be broken down into three parts. First part is going to be talking about what is evolution. The second part is going to be just speaking about it a little bit more. And the third part is going to be about it's going to be Q&As. It's going to be the questions that I have towards evolution. And when we get to that, I'll get into more details. So, without further ado, I know a lot of you have been waiting for me to attempt to get technical about what evolution is, but I've been spending some time looking at this, and let's do this, okay? Not to copy my Bionic Dance. Number one, there are several different types of evolution, or different definitions, I guess you could say. Number one, the best definition that I've seen online, anyway, for evolution is any change in the heritable traits within a population across generations. Another definition that I ran into was the process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from earlier forms during the history of the Earth. The gradual development of something. Okay. Also, the six different types of evolution that are out there is, you have cosmic evolution, chemical evolution, stellar and planetary evolution. You have organic evolution, macro evolution, and micro evolution. Just real quick to go into what these different types of evolutions is cosmic evolution is the origin of time, space, and matter. Chemical evolution is the origin of higher elements from hydrogen. Stellar and planetary evolution is the origin of stars and planets. I have other notes here, so as I'm reading this, I want to be careful not to read everything. Also, organic evolution from non-living material. I'm sorry, life from non-life. Pretty much is pretty much what this organic evolution thing is. So number 5 would be macro evolution. This is typically what I argue the most here on YouTube. When I talk about a dog becoming a cat, I guess I was attempting to try to talk about macro evolution, but what macro evolution pretty much is an animal over a very long period of time, millions of years, evolving into what we would think is another animal. Okay, and then we have micro evolution, which is what a lot of us Christians, which is what a lot of Christians accept. That's pretty much, if I can put it in simple terms, animals having babies, human beings having babies. We're copying we're quote unquote cloning ourselves when we have kids, and they're just an extension of us. And so microevolution is basically us copying ourselves when we have kids, or animals doing the same thing. Now, I want to get into pretty much what evolution is, based on what I've been able to see in a nutshell, is pretty much anything that changes over a long period of time, whether it be chemicals, whether it be out there in outer space, where the cosmic evolution with Big Bang, or anything like that. Now, here's a question: how do we go from what was commonly known as a common ancestor to the different types of animals and species that we see today? Okay. Number one, we can actually see. Now, mind you, I want you guys to understand something. I'm just trying to explain what evolution is. There's going to be three parts of this, okay? So, I just want to try to be as honest as I possibly can about what I found out about this, okay? So, when we see the physical traits on like the fur on mice, or the spots on the wings of a butterfly, or some of the behaviors that we see animals having, like smelling each other and whatnot. Supposedly, that's a physical form of evolution, and that would be the part where it says that any change in the inheritable traits. Okay. Um, Another example of evolution would be if you take a pack of gray wolves, for example, and let's just say over a long period of time, you have people that own these wolves. They picked a wolf that they liked, another one picked another wolf that they liked, and had those wolves mate, and they had and those wolves had children. What you would then have is a wolf that looks slightly different from the other wolves when they have their babies, whether it be fluffier fur, or bigger teeth, bigger nose. It just depends on on the mother and the father. You know, when they have their kids and everything, the little baby wolves, and we'll get something that looks like their parents, but it may be a little bit different. If you go and apparently with this, through a very long period of time, whether it be thousands of years, millions of years, you'll go from having a what you would normally call a gray wolf, which would become after a long period of time, after so many times of mating these different wolves, after looking different little by little by little, you'll get like a Chihuahua or a Pit Bull, or you'll get and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's something that's called descent with modification. Um, just yeah, so yeah, that would be considered, I believe, a descent with modification. Okay, now here's the thing. Okay, we see human beings taking these gray wolves, and we see them, you pick this wolf that you like, you pick this wolf that you like, and those wolves get together and they have a baby, and over a long period of time we see these changes in these baby wolves. But what happens when you don't have a person there doing that? How do we still get these same things? Well, this is where we get into natural selection. To give you a quick definition of what natural selection is, it is a process by which random evolutionary changes are selected by nature in a consistent, orderly way, or a non-random way. Now, the person that came up, it was actually two people that came up with natural selection, but I don't have that person's name here. I have the first name, and that would be Charles Darwin. He lived from 1809 to 1822. He was a naturalist, someone who studied nature, and he was the one who said that nature pretty much can decide um, how um, how different animals evolve. Like, for example, you look at the example of the two people getting the wolves together. Well, nature does the same thing. It just depends on the environment that they're living in. It depends on whether or not it's Antarctica, I suppose, or the woods or the forest or whatever. It just depends on where they are. And as these wolves get together and they begin to have kids, um, because of their DNA structures and the different codes, nature will decide what their baby is, and then you go through the process again and again and again over a very long period of time. You're going to get something that looks slightly different from what we would call a gray wolf. And that's the way I understand natural selection. So again, there are 6 types of evolution. There's cosmic evolution, there's chemical evolution, there's stellar and planetary evolution. There's organic evolution, there's macro evolution, and then there's micro evolution. Now, I'm going to end this part of the video. Just did my best to try to explain what evolution was with some type of detail. And part 2, we're going to be getting into some we're going to be getting a little bit deeper, and then we're going to get to the Q&A. So I'm going to end the video here, and I'm going to G-Man. Okay, so just very briefly, I want to speak a little critically about what we just saw about evolution. And I know there are people on YouTube who can do a tremendously better job than what I just did at explaining what evolution was. But based on what I've been looking at over the past few months, I can understand why the scientific community would accept evolution as an explanation on how why we have so many different species in the world, where they may have come from. The scientific explanation is a little interesting when you look into evolution. Also, I also want to say something that I failed to mention in the first part, and that is that the people that believe in evolution, the people that subscribe to evolution, I'm sorry, they they come to these conclusions based on different studies of fossils, genetics, comparative anatomy, mathematics, biochemistry, and species distribution. Um, so there's a lot of thought that goes into evolution by the scientific community. Not to say that there are not questions that we can ask about these particular things. Um, Also, I found it very interesting to look into the DNA codes of how all of us have our own different DNA codes, and how when we have our kids, sometimes these DNA thingies don't necessarily line up in the perfect world or whatever. Because I guess everyone would come out twins if that was the case. I don't know. But what happens is when we have our kids, these codes don't necessarily end up perfect, which is why we would see um, um, why somebody like myself and someone can have a kid, and the kid might look like very different from me. Like he might have my eyes, but he'll have my the woman's facial features and other things like that and whatnot. So I don't know. I found that interesting. Natural selection was interesting, and I actually took the time out to look at it to see how nature actually goes about um, figuring out which species should survive, how they should look based on their environments. I found that to be very interesting. Um, let's see. Something that I did notice when I was looking at this topic was the issue with the common ancestor. I was interested about that. Now, apparently, depending on the species that you're talking about, let's say you're talking about wolves, or you're talking about monkeys, or you're talking about birds or something like that. Apparently, all of those have their own ancestor. Okay, which would make sense if you look at microevolution. Okay. Um, yes, it would make sense if it was a microevolution, and I can see scientifically speaking how that could be possible. However, when I look at cosmic evolution, chemical evolution, stellar planetary evolution, organic evolution, and macroevolution, I have a lot of questions about those things. Let me get to that in the Q&A soon. Um, but when we start looking at the cosmic evolution, or what we would commonly call as the Big Bang, I like to just briefly explain what that is before I get into the questions. Apparently, um, everything started with a singularity. I've asked some people in the scientific community what the singularity was made up of, what it was, how did it get there. I've asked these questions, but the point of the matter is, this singularity apparently was about 14.5 billion years ago. I believe it was. I don't know if it was billion or millions. I think it's billions. And apparently it expanded at a pace faster than the speed of light. And as this was happening, this over a very long period of time, this is how we started getting stars, the different planets, black holes, and all these things over a very, very, very long period of time. Which is why I can understand why the scientific community could say that they can't necessarily give you a demonstration that you can do in your home to see how this could have happened. Okay, now and I realize how I sound now when I ask those questions. So, I don't know. I found this interesting when I was looking at this. I wasn't looking at this every single day when I found time. I had a book. I don't have it no more. Called The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin. And is it Charles Darwin? Yeah, don't beat me up too hard, but I believe he wrote the book. Um, and I have other books, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube that actually teaches you what evolution is. One video on YouTube is called "Stated Clearly." They do a very good job of explaining what evolution is, according to the scientific community. Um, I also found out that not everyone in the scientific community necessarily agrees with the theory of evolution or the Big Bang theory. So I'm going to end it here. Okay. without trying to get too deep into this, because I ain't trying to bore any of you guys to death, I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to go to the Q&A.
I've been thinking a lot about my recent interaction with G-Man last night in my hangout.
Our worship is R2-D2. Our worship is R2-D2.
Now, a lot of you shouldn't be surprised by some of the questions that I'm going to be asking today. And the way I'm doing this Q&A is I'm going to ask those of you who have been watching my channel pretty much from the beginning, the Robin Dupree reads, if she even watches this video, the Karen S's, Redlined, Suzuki Das, who else have been watching from the beginning? And I apologize if I don't remember you right away. I would say Lee Lemon, but she's in the hospital right now. Let me see. Oh, Bionic Dancer. This gets to her. I would love to hear her opinion about this, considering she said that I need to go back to school. Let me see. Yeah, anyone I've ever had a conversation with regarding evolution, I would love to get your 2 cents. Oh, Partner Supreme. I would love to see him make a response video to what is being said in this video. But let's get to the questions now, okay? While I may understand and be able to see it now from your perspective now, those of you in the scientific community, those who believe or subscribe to evolution, although I can see it from your perspective, I still have some questions, even though I actually looked at it a little bit, okay? Somewhat. My first question would be dealing with the cosmic evolution, okay? Apparently everything started with the Big Bang. Okay, again, it was a singularity that expanded over a very long period of time. So my first question is this: what is a singularity? Okay, I've done some research on the internet, and apparently nobody knows what a singularity is. So I would like to know, with a video response, one of the questions I would definitely like to have answered is, what is a singularity? That's number one. Number two, where did the matter come from during the Big Bang? Where did the energy come from during the Big Bang? If hydrogen, not nitrogen. If chemical evolution started with hydrogen, then I would like to know how did hydrogen turn into the entire periodic table that we have today? So those would be my cosmic evolution questions that I would like to ask. Also, another question I would like to ask, regarding, because if this expansion happened, apparently all the planets would be going on in the same direction. Okay, apparently we got some planets not going on in the same direction. Okay, and I would like to know what the explanation of that is, according to the scientific community. Okay, because if you had a merry-go-round, the merry-go-round was going fast. It was going really fast. When the people fly off, they're going to be going in that same direction until they hit something, right? So where do you get the opposite directions from? Okay. Another question I like to ask involves, let me see, stellar and planetary evolution. And I really just got one question for that one, because I considered some of the other questions with this, and I don't think it's necessary to really ask them. As far as I know, no scientist has ever seen a star form, but we always see them. But they have proof that stars, some of them explode, some of them expand. We call these supernovas. Do we have any evidence or any proof that or rather, have we actually seen with our own eyes a star actually being formed? Okay, and I don't want to take your word for it. I would like to see video proof of this. Okay. And video proof for the other questions that I asked as well. Okay. Organic evolution. Getting life from non-life. I would like to know how that's even possible. Okay. Again, if everything started with a singularity and expanded over 14 billion years ago, and then planets and stars and all that stuff started forming, and we eventually got Earth, and Earth came into being, and we was at the perfect distance from the sun, and the perfect distance from from the sun, and just to be in the right spot where we can get just enough heat. You know what I mean? Because how can I put this? It's very specific about how far we are from the sun. If we was an inch closer to the sun, if I'm not mistaken, we would cook, and if we was an inch away from the sun, we would actually freeze to death, for what I understand. Okay, so I would like to know, with this singularity expanding over this long period of time, how did life end up in this world? Where did the bacteria come from for life to be in this world? Okay. Also, with macroevolution, apparently those who subscribe to macroevolution believes that whatever this common ancestor was, it was able to become different species over a very long period of time. If I'm not mistaken, 8 or 9 million years or something like that. So the way I understand it, and Stated Clearly actually said this too. They said that when you invite people over to your Thanksgiving dinner and everything based on what we saw in evolution, that we're all related. Okay, I'm related to you, you're related to me, we're related to the various different animals and whatnot. Okay, we're all distant relatives. It wouldn't be wrong for me to say that we're all related to that the meat that's in here all came from a relative. Okay, so I just want to know how many of you actually believe that though, and what proof or evidence do we have that a cat can become a non-cat, or a dog can become a non-dog? Or what proof do we have that a gorilla can become a non-gorilla? Or what proof do we have that a dolphin will become a non-dolphin? Okay. Let me see something here. I had another question, and it was involving. Oh, okay. The evolution of animals and human beings and whatnot. Okay. There's a lot of disagreement in the scientific community on, again, what this common ancestor was. Okay, but for the sake of argument, whatever this common ancestor was, when did sex come into play so that we can get more than one animal? When did that come into play? When was sex invented, according to the theory of evolution? Okay, and then when sex was invented, because I mean, based on what I understand about the Big Bang and evolution and how the Earth was formed and everything, it apparently looks like we all evolved from rocks. And if that's true, I mean, if you go back far enough, I mean, if you look at what the Big Bang is saying and whatnot, about it expanded over a long period of time and things just started forming all from this singularity, which I don't know what it was made out of. Neither does anyone else in the scientific community. Hopefully some of you guys can answer that question. I would like to know, if we came from rocks, and I'm assuming life must have came from the ocean or whatever. You know, maybe it was a little bacteria on of course I like to know where the bacteria came from. The little bacteria that was on a rock, when it was in the ocean, or rather when it got in the ocean, if it was breathing water, when did it decide that it wanted to breathe air instead? How did that process go? Okay. And I have other questions, but I believe that's enough. I don't want your response videos to be too long. I would love to see some of the response videos. If you make a response video, please let me know via personal message, and I will respond back, or I will make a comment based on what you say during your response video. And just want to say that even though I looked at this particular topic, I still don't believe in evolution. I still don't buy into this. I don't subscribe into this. I don't subscribe to this because there are too many holes with this. I still believe that God spoke and everything came into being. God said, let there be light, and light came. God said, let each animal be made after its own kind and after its own likeness. And I believe that makes more sense than what I'm reading here in my my notes here about evolution. So can't tell me no more that I don't really know what evolution is, even though it's a basic understanding at best compared to some of your brilliant minds out there. I just want to say that I don't know. I just found this interesting. I really did. And I would love to see those video responses to where I may have been wrong, because I know some of you are going to be so critical. Your video's going to be like 30 minutes instead of just getting to the point. But I give you guys the benefit of it. I make those video responses, and this is the big evolution video, guys. This is the video that you guys asked for. So you got 3 parts to this. Feel free to respond, and I will gladly respond back. And until next time, guys, this has been a New Year's edition of the very first video in 2014 of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. Read your Bible and do what it says.
To run on automatic instead of thinking, which is a surefire way to get taken. To run on automatic instead of thinking, which is a surefire way to get taken.
They don't give you any hope! You need burn.